and welcome to this week's episode. Today, we are talking about investing in your education as a means to fast tracking your business growth in your business. I am chatting with Heather and Brian, who are two of the three owners of Soul Sisters Creations, and they have grown their business not only quickly, but on a solid foundation after attending educational classes. And that's not all we're talking about. We're talking about managing partnerships within a business, how to delegate roles and responsibilities and set those boundaries, and some other very cool tangents we go off on, including DIY balloon kits for customers and a very cool community partnership that they are launching, where they're essentially trading staffing hours for exposure in their storefront. So hang in there. There is something for everyone in this interview. Let's take a quick break and then get into this episode. Quick pause, because if you're running a small business and you feel like your brain is holding open 1,000 tiny tabs, this is for you. One of the biggest shifts that I've made in my business and that I've seen successful decorators make over and over is moving from doing everything manually to having a real system behind the scenes. That's why 17 Hats is our exclusive YouTube sponsor for 2026. 17 Hats puts your inquiries, contracts, invoices, questionnaires, emails, and workflows all in one place, so you're not chasing clients, forgetting follow-ups, or reinventing the wheel every single time someone books. Instead of asking, did I send that and what comes next, your business just works. The best part, it doesn't make your business feel more robotic. It actually frees you up to do things that you are meant to do, like be creative, work with clients, spend time with your family, and all with less stress. If you're ready to stop duct taping systems together and start operating like a real business, head to 17hats.com to check it out. Once you have a system, everything else gets easier. All right, let's jump back in. Welcome to this episode. We have Soul Sisters Creations on the show, Heather and Brian, and then the other soul sister is not with us. Heather, kick us off with an introduction. Tell us about your business, where you're located, and a little bit about your setup.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much for having us. So, yes, this is my balloon husband, Brian. But our soul sister, my soul sister, is currently working her corporate job today. So she's not here today, but we are located in Marysville, Ohio. It's right outside of Columbus. We do anywhere from small installs to large installs and corporate events. And we've been doing this in the balloon industry for, let's see, when did we actually start, would you say? 23. 2023 is really when we started going at this.
Yeah, and I hear that Balloonathon was kind of a turning point for you. What was your business like before that, and then what happened at that event that made you make a pivot or a shift to really kind of take it seriously?
Yeah, so we actually, when I started our balloon, or when I started business in 2022, I actually started, um, I was a social worker and I was
Okay.
involved in the system, working with youth, and I lost a kid on my caseload to suicide. And
Mm.
when that happened, I decided I was going to go ahead and start my own business, but I had no idea what I was going to do, right? I was like, I'm going to call it Soul Sisters Creations. I'm going to work with all my soul sisters and we're going to come up with a plan. So at
So you
first,
don't even know balloons?
we didn't even know balloons. I mean, we knew balloons. We did balloons for our own parties, but we didn't even think about that being a job. Um,
Interesting.
yes. So we started with digital downloads, worked together with a group of girls and tried to get together every week with them. And I did that for over a year. And then in
Okay.
2023, we decorated for Megan's daughter's birthday party for her sweet 16. And at that point, that's when Megan's like, we should just do this all the time. This was so much fun. We would do so good. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So I did the research. And then by 2024, we had invested in our first course that we took.
Okay.
Our first course was not with Balloonathon. We found out about Balloonathon later. But in January of 2024, we did Dress to Your Daydream in New York with Catherine, which is
Okay.
amazing. She's an incredible artist. And then in 2025, we found out about Balloonathon through Pop Charlotte. So we started
Okay.
following her on social media. She was one of our absolute favorite creators. And she actually was talking about going from your small house and when do you know to scale into a warehouse. And at
Yeah.
that point, we were doing what, 9 events a week
Mhm.
in our house. So we
Wow.
had balloons everywhere and bedrooms, and he has an extra bedroom at the house. They were in his bedroom.
Yeah.
They were in the kids' bedrooms. There was balloons all over our house. So we knew it was time.
So when that is my next question because you have since left your corporate job, you're no longer a social worker?
So that is correct. So actually, I left social work and left the field after that happened in
Okay.
2022. And I went into corporate America, back to corporate
Oh,
America.
okay.
Point. So I worked in business banking actually. I worked as a cash management specialist. So I specialize in dealing with all different kinds of businesses and helping small business owners achieve all kinds of things. So I was like getting knowledge, gaining skills, learning all of the industry, anything, in and outs of business.
Yeah.
And then that is where I decided, you know what, it's time for us to continue to do what we're doing, but we need a different space to do it.
Okay.
So that's
Cool.
what we
Okay.
decided.
So just let's rewind and just clarify for me.
Mhm.
Brian,
Mhm.
what's a balloon husband? Are you actually your husband or are you just a business associate? What is your actual relationship?
Oh, we're married.
Yes.
Okay.
Been been
So
married
you
5 years, together 10 years, so
Mhm.
okay, so you were just along for the ride as many
yeah,
of our partners are?
yeah, pretty
Yes.
pretty much. I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a lot of the heavy lifting, a lot of the driving. I do that.
All of the driving.
Um,
And
but,
do you work another job too?
no, not anymore.
Okay,
I
so are you
actually
full-time in this business?
correct.
Wow. Okay.
We
So
actually hired him first before I hired me into the role.
interesting. Okay. So that is one of my biggest questions and one of the things that I see go wrong so many times, and that is partnerships. And what advice do you have for people listening? Because you're not just husband wife, you're husband wife plus another owner. Or is she just an employee? Walk me through that situation because
Yeah.
I think the idea of partnerships is scary and people burn down their businesses when those relationships fail. So, what advice do you have for people listening who don't want to do this alone?
Yes, absolutely. It's definitely very lonely in the business world. I'm sure you know this.
Hmm.
So we definitely think that, education around this subject is very important. So much that we actually went on a TV show last year called The Blocks. Um,
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of it before, but
I
we were
have. There's another balloon person who also went on it.
yeah, so we were accepted to be on Wes's show, and we learned from him as the mentor. And he continues to mentor us. We're actually getting ready to go to Barcelona with him pretty soon on another business trip in August.
Okay.
But I just find it very important to just understand that part of the business and understand how your roles and define roles. So one of the best pieces of advice that he gave us when we were on the show was make sure that you define your roles. Make sure that you know who's going to take the lead on the vision, who's going to do the production, who's going to be the team, lead the team. Team leadership, who's going to do the
Yeah.
operations, the logistics, the inventory, the equipment. And that really took us sitting down after we came home from the blocks. So we went to Balloonathon in 2025, and then we went to the blocks and competed on the show
Okay.
in 2025. And after that show, we sat down and we wrote down all of our strengths and all of our weaknesses, and then what we were capable of achieving. And that
Okay.
is really what helped us be able to get a storefront within 2 months of coming back from the TV show. And then also it helped us be able to define like how we were going to be able to continue to excel, be able to have the storefront, be able to grow this business. And our next goal is to be able to get Megan to be able to leave corporate as well.
Okay. Um, so what are some of your roles? Like how would you define each of your partnerships? Because I think that's another question too. People are like, I get it, divide the roles, but like
Mhm.
also what are those?
Right. So for me, mine is like taking the vision. So I deal with like all of the systems, all of the marketing, all of the like partnerships, connections, anything dealing with like client interfacing. I deal with all of that. Megan does help with a lot of that. I'm not saying she doesn't. She's awesome. She's really good with our customers. But then she kind of takes over the next realm and she does like the vision part of it. So she understands what the client's vision is. She helps with the color matching for the balloons, and helps get the design together so that when we're together, and then she handles like assembly, production. We do all of that together.
Okay.
Um, on Thursday nights usually is our build night. This night it's on Friday, or this week it's on Friday, so that we can put balloons over the entire front of the building,
Okay.
so that they're here for the parade on Saturday
Oh,
morning.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah, so we definitely we love to be able to just kind of partner in that area. And then Brian handles like all of the operations. So he's
Okay.
logistic, answering the emails, answering the phone calls, scheduling the appointments, inventory, making sure that we have all of our supplies in order. Every install that we do, I love it when Brian is here because everything gets done. So
Okay.
yeah, Megan and I are building, and we're kind of like the silly people. What do we call us, babe? Hurricane Heather and Tropical Storm Megan, and this is FEMA who comes behind us, and he, like, kinda cleans everything up and just makes sure that we're organized and we get to where we need to be on time.
So are you for your installs, are you guys going together or like do you have multiple vans and you're able to divide and conquer? What does that look like in a partnership?
So, most of the time, we try to do everything together, so we'll try to schedule our day. There are a lot of times when we have overlap on our schedule, but it kinda depends on the location too. Like, if we're
Yeah.
doing installs in Columbus and Marysville on the same day, sometimes I'll just take over here, and then Megan will go ahead and do the install in Columbus in her area.
Okay.
But most of the time, we try to do everything together.
Yeah. Cool, cool. And then besides the 3 of you, are there any just like part-time employees? Like do you staff your store or is it more like a studio with a storefront?
So it's a studio with a storefront. Our hope and our goal is to be able to staff our store full time. We
Okay.
do have my son will fill in sometimes. He actually filled in for us while we were at another training through Batalic last week. We got to go to Balloon Blondies,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, that one was so much fun. We're getting ready to go to Pop Charlotte's too in New York,
Okay.
so we're excited about that. But it's a lot of fun. If he's working though, like, he's not always, like, he doesn't know all of the balloon world, so there's
Yeah,
very little that he can do.
how old is your son? Because I think that's another question too. It's like when is it appropriate to start bringing your kids with you or like when do you actually trust them without looking like child labor? Like
Right,
what is that
right,
age?
right. So, he's almost 16, so he's 15
Okay.
now, he'll be 16 in a few months. They've been in the balloon world with us, for the past several years. They've seen us do balloons for years, so
Yeah.
they're really good helpers. They'll be our content creators. Sometimes you'll get lucky enough to see them like in our content, which is fun. I love when they get to come on set and record and do our content. And then we just, we'll pay them different ways. Um,
Yeah.
you know, different supplies that they need. My son just needed over $300 worth of gear for football, so he had to
Okay.
work with that.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love that. Okay, so you've mentioned a lot of different
Mhm.
classes. So you've invested a lot in education
Yeah.
and it sounds like it's kind of been the shortcut for you. I mean, like I love going to classes. I feel like I always get my money's worth. But instead of trying to piece together, how can I do this or spending all the time in Home Depot, it's like just go to a class and someone's going to tell you the best way and you have the info. Can you think of one class or workshop or anything you've been to where it's, like, directly made you more money. You, like, walked away, been like, "We're gonna do this, we're gonna apply it to our business," and it's changed something memorable.
I think that when we were at Balloonathon and we took Maggie's course, I mean, all of them were great. I love Victoria. I love Jay Perry. Like, they were all amazing. But when Pop Charlotte spoke about just pricing and things like that, like, she went over a lot of the things that we didn't even think about because we didn't have a storefront at the time. So,
Hmm,
all of the costs that are associated with it. And I think at that point, that's when we really started looking at, okay, who is our target audience? Who do we want to serve in our communities? We want to serve everybody. We want to serve all of the moms, right? The moms that don't have the biggest budgets, the moms that do have the large budgets. We want to do every type of install that there is. So one of the things that we started doing was our DIY kits, our balloon kits, where they can come and they can purchase them. And then we also do in-store pickups now, but we started kinda advertising for those things immediately when we came home, and then that allowed us to serve more people because we weren't so busy doing the installs and people still were able to
Yeah.
have really good parties.
Yeah, I love that. And I know a lot of people are really curious about the DIY kits. So if you will indulge me, can we take a little sidebar and just talk about those? Um, what's your setup? How do you do that? Because I know I've heard everything from like people who want to sell them on Etsy to people who, like me, mine's not a DIY, but it's like a lower budget grab and go situation. Limited colors, limited items. Where does yours fall and is it working? Is it successful for you?
So we have the client come in person and do a color matching and they pick out their balloon colors that they want and
Okay.
then they get the color. So they're paying for the package of colors
So do
and
you
then
have them
they
all up and people are able to just get the quantities and then you put it together and
so
they take them
we
home?
yeah, we put it on spot. So we'll put together the package on spot. We do have all of the colors up in our storefront. So we have like all of the colors that you can see. We also have more colors, obviously.
Yeah,
But we like to try to color match for them and then we put together the kit right there.
I love
And
that. Do
we do
you
it by color, not by like, here's all of this kit. We do it by color. You have to buy each color balloon.
okay, and do you say like that's 1 18-inch and, 5 11s and then a little cluster? Like you give them I don't know, I call it a cluster,
Yeah.
basically.
Yes,
Oh, I love that.
basically, so it's 3 clusters per color. So
Okay.
it would be and that makes a pretty large garland.
Yeah,
So,
like 3 colors would be, yeah,
it yeah,
11, 12 feet. That's awesome. I
yeah.
love that. So in order to accommodate that, what are your business hours?
So we currently are open from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. We do have
Every day?
just not Mondays.
No.
Our town is not open on Mondays. None of the downtown stores are open on Mondays.
Okay.
So just Tuesday through Friday, 11 until 4.
Okay.
And then we can do extended hours. Like we have a lot of clients that will want to do like consultations after hours, after they get off work. So we're flexible with our schedule and allow those consultations. And then on Saturdays, hopefully in the future, we'll have our community creators. We're starting partnerships in the community with different vendors that are going
Okay.
to cover our store hours on Saturdays.
What? Tell me everything. What are you talking about?
Yes. So, one of the biggest things that Megan and I really love to do is just really educate people on business and educate people on kind of what it takes, right? Like, there's a lot more to it than just selling pretty products.
Yeah.
There's so many back end things about it. So, one of the things that we wanted to do when we came home from the blocks was to be able to help other business owners in the community. So, we opened our storefront for our Community Creations Corner. Right now, it's one area. Brian is actually in the process of building an entire wall full of community creators. So I can send you a picture of what it looks like.
So you promote them in exchange for staffing?
So our goal with it is to we haven't done it yet. We have a couple people signed up coming up, but our goal with it is to have one Saturday covered like per their contract. They will cover one Saturday for their 3-month contract. So they'll work
Interesting.
one Saturday, they'll get people in their store telling them about their product. They're also coming into the store because there's not a whole lot of stuff that you can buy in our store right now. We don't
Yeah.
have tons of party decor things. We haven't invested in all of that yet. We have little things that our kids have made, that family has made, but we really want to partner within the community and help other business owners.
So during those times on those Saturdays, are they like is there stuff in your store? Like give me an example of who this is.
Yes. So this would be like, for instance, somebody that sells those handmade garlands that say like happy birthday,
Yeah.
right? They're really pretty, really elaborate. Somebody that wants to come in and purchase that at our store because it is a party store,
Yeah.
they're coming in, they're purchasing that, but then that sell automatically goes back to them because they have to scan their own like not their barcode, but whatever their gets, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
But
So
like
and
they don't
it's
have businesses that are gonna support a storefront. So you're
right.
allowing them to essentially rent yours in
Yes, they
exchange for staffing. That is brilliant. I've never heard of anyone doing that. Did you come up with that idea?
yeah, yeah, we
That's
came up with
great.
that
Oh my gosh.
idea.
I hope it's so successful. You'll have to come back on and tell us
Yeah.
how it's going in a year. I
Yes, and
love
you'll
that.
have to meet Megan.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. She won't be at her full-time job by then, so she'll have plenty of time.
Megan talks more than I do.
Well, Brian, I want to talk to you because I like talking to partners, spouses, because I feel like it's usually, someone started the business and then the other person kind of just like works for free and got dragged in. And typically it's the wife that starts and the husband gets dragged along. But Brian, you seem really involved, really supportive. Like most husbands are like lifting sandbags and building backdrops. But the fact that you're like very interactive with the clients and managing the projects, I think is really interesting. Have you ever gone head to head on an idea and been like someone really in favor of something and someone really against it? And like, how do you work out what you do? Who gets their way, or like what happens in those situations where you just disagree? Good answer.
Um, there's been times where we disagree. There's been times where I say, "Let's do this. How does this look?" Instead of doing it this, and I don't have the vision like her and Megan do. I'm more behind the scenes stuff like that. But I put my 2 cents in wherever I can. Sometimes they do take my ideas, sometimes they don't, and then it is what it is. I'm just along for the
And it
ride.
doesn't bother you.
No, I'm prior military. I got a thick skin.
Yeah. See, I'm the opposite. They'd be like, let's use dark green instead of green. I was like, I hope this whole party fails. I want my way all the time. So, what is your background, Brian? What did you say?
Military,
Okay. Is
prior
that
military
what you
logistics more.
were you doing anything after military, or you literally retired from the military and started doing this?
No, not necessarily retired. I got out. I'm a veteran. Came back and did the whole corporate world, and
Okay.
was lucky enough to go with her and Megan to Balloonathon, and I was like not starstruck, but I'm like, holy crap! There's a lot of this balloon world is massive,
Yeah.
So let's hit the ground running. I'm on board. Let's do it.
That's awesome. So what made you decide to all go? Because I know sometimes it's like the wife's vacation, or like you want to go with your friend, or a lot of businesses, they can't support sending everybody because they need people to stay behind and run the business. So why did all three of you go? And do you think that that contributed to your fast success after it?
Absolutely. I feel like the reason we all went was because Megan and I were getting ready to go on that show, and we needed Brian to be able to handle everything that while we were gone. We had
Okay.
had big installs and different setups and things, so we were depending on him to be able to keep things moving because as business goes, you can't just let things stop. You have to keep
Yeah.
things going.
So this was boot camp for Brian.
Yes,
You
pretty
fell in
Did
much.
you
love.
Is there anything that you remember learning there that struck you, that you like you just said, you were like, "Holy cow, this is a whole industry." Do you remember any moment where you were just like your mind exploded? It could be teeny tiny, like a little tip, or it could be like some big life-changing thing.
Just what you can do with balloons, no
Mm,
matter what size it is, what you can make, and you just have this vision in the back of your head, like I can make a balloon out of it. Like you walked into Balloonathon, like there's a lot of balloons here. Like how do they make a shark out of balloons? How do they make crabs out of balloons? It's crazy what you can do with something when you put your mind to it.
yeah, yeah. I didn't get to go to a Balloonathon. I never attended, but I've heard so many positive things because I think I actually interviewed Barry from Vitalik, and he said, like, the point was you guys build the stuff all week, and then at the end, you're like
Yeah.
surrounded by all these things that you created and you just learn to create. Is that kind of the gist of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you walked in though, and there was so much that was already built that was
Okay.
just amazing. Like everything
Yeah.
was,
Mm.
like you walked in and you looked around and you're like, wow, this is the kind of stuff that we want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And remind me, before that, what were you doing? And then did it change anything? Like you said, Maggie had an impact on you, but were you doing small events and then you started going bigger, or were you doing big events and then that's when you started looking for those smaller revenue streams, or did it have an effect on your offerings?
I wouldn't really say much of the offerings, like, because we were doing a lot of business at that point. When we started, like, officially, like, I waited for us to have, like, a contract in place before we ever took our first client. Like, I was very picky about it because I wanted to have a good impression from the first start.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like really picky on what we did. Um, but I would say that it just really helped us, like, realized that we needed to price correctly so that we could be able to sustain it longer. And I think
Yeah.
that that was a big educational part from Balloonathon is just learning the pricing.
Yeah. Okay. One more money question.
Mhm.
specifically pertaining to partners, because so as someone who's by myself, I feel like I can operate on a shoestring budget because I'm paying one salary. And for a really long time, I couldn't even pay one salary. Like I worked a full-time job for the first 6 years of doing balloons. But like you're paying three, whether they're full-time or not, you're paying three people. So are you doing more business? I mean, you said you're locked in on that pricing. Like that feels overwhelming to me. How are you sure that you can make payroll every month? Like how do you do that?
I think that for us too, like because of my business background and being like a banker, like I was a banker before I was a social worker, right? So for years and the fact that I've aged out of the foster care system, I grew up with a very lack mindset. Like I didn't have a lot growing up. So I was
Okay.
just always very good at saving and just trying to make sure that I saved. Even when we started the business, all of for the first 2 or 3, well, the first I would say we didn't start paying ourselves until recently.
Okay.
Everything before that we were making, we invested back into the business and we saved as much money as we could so that we could get the training and the resources that we needed.
Yeah. And then that's paying off big time, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
All right. Well, this question is for both of you. Um, if someone is listening and they are where you were a couple years ago, right? Like they're working a full-time job, maybe for whatever reason they need to get out of that job or they just don't want to be there anymore. It could be for whatever reason. And the idea of going full-time seems just impossible or overwhelming. What advice would you give them and how do they know they're ready to take that leap?
What would you say first before I go?
Don't give up. Like if you have an idea or something like that, pursue it. Don't give up. Just keep showing up. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, I want to kind of go back to some of the people that have given us these really good little points. So Megan and I, our saying is everything is figure outable. That is the one
Yeah.
thing that we always say. Everything is figure outable. We have it on the back of our t-shirts because everything will work out. If you try and you continue to put your effort and energy into something that brings you passion and gets you excited to get up every day, continue it until you understand it and just keep going. And then I would also like to talk about the advice of other people. So, like Maggie from Pop Charlotte, she always says, be the purple cow in the room, right? Be the purple cow. That was one of the things that she talked about. And so, Megan and I have our pink glittery shoes. We had them before we went to Balloonathon. We just didn't know what that meant. Now we understand.
Yeah.
Jay Berry from That's What's Poppin', he says to be delusional, right? Like, do it. Be delusional. Be as delusional as you want to be and that's what's gonna get you to the next level.
I
And then
love
we
it.
also worked with Natalie. She actually had a balloon business over in the United Kingdom, and she was one of our first mentors that we ever met with before we actually officially started doing balloons. And she always told us to walk into the room like you own it and show up as a professional. So she said, anywhere that you go, make sure that you have your uniform on so people know who you are when you walk into that room. And then my favorite person that we've learned from is Wes from the blocks, Wes Bergman. And he always just build, measure, learn, repeat. So
Hmm.
when you do those things, you build, you measure, you learn, you're going to get the results, you're going to learn from them, and you're going to continue to keep trying. So that would be the things that we would have to say.
I love that. I feel like you just gave us like a 1-minute podcast of inspiration. That was all amazing. And I agree with all of it. The thing that I always think of, I always say that everything is figure outable. Because it really is. Like there's these moments of panic where I'm like, I'm literally gonna have a mental breakdown, but like I'm just gonna go to my van and compose myself. And then you find a magnet or you find a zip tie, you figure it out. Like you just have to make it work. And I think balloons bring out like the MacGyver in all of us. But about the purple cow thing, someone told me, don't be better, be different. And I think that's true too. It's like you don't have to be the best. You don't have to out balloon everybody. You just have to be a little bit different and find your customers. And it sounds like you guys really have. And I'm so excited to connect with you and congrats on all of your success. And if
Yeah.
someone wants to find you, where's the
Mhm.
best place to do that?
So we are on social media. We're still on Facebook. So that we still get most of our inquiries if you look at the data, it still come from Facebook or
Yeah.
walk-ins off the street or referrals, word of mouth. But Instagram is the best place to be able to find us.
And what's your handle on there?
It's just Soul Sisters Creations.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It has been so nice getting to meet you, and I can't wait to connect with all of you in the future. I really do want to do a follow up about your community. What did you call them again?
It's a community creations corner.
I love that. We have to do a follow up on that because that is so exciting, so interesting. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.